Hello and welcome. My name is Holly and today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 7 tips for nursing students. So if you're in nursing school, then this is the video for you. Alright, so let's get into it, starting with tip number 1, of course, and that's going to be to have a positive mindset or to get in the right mindset. So if you have picked the brain of anybody who has been in nursing school or who's working as a nurse already, you may have heard some horror stories, right? You may have heard something about a particular instructor or about a particular clinical location, whatever it might be. You may already have these negative ideas in your head, and that can be really harmful to your experience as a nursing student because your perspective is going to affect the experience that you have. If you have a negative perspective, you're more likely to experience negative things. If you have a positive perspective, on the other hand, you're more likely to experience positive things. So it's best to try to clear your mind, if possible, of any of the negative things that you may have heard. If you need to err on the side of caution in a particular situation, obviously you will want to keep that in the back of your mind. But if it's just because some instructor had a personal issue with a student, doesn't mean that they're going to have that issue with you. So make sure you're as positive as you possibly can be. It is a huge opportunity to be able to be in nursing school, to have the opportunity to become a nurse. So it's best to focus on that if you possibly can. I know that sometimes nursing school gets really hard and it can be difficult and you just want to cry and yell and scream. If you need a moment or a few moments to vent or to have that outburst, that's okay. I'm not saying that everything is rainbows and butterflies, because it's not. But for the most part, you want to be positive when you can be. Also, to kind of go along with this, make sure you're not spending too much time with people who are negative. You can have a lot of Debbie Downers who try to bring you down with them and they want you to commiserate with them in their misery. But that's not going to do you any favors. So make sure you spend less time with people who are negative and more time with people who are positive and who are trying to be uplifting to you and the people around them. Alright, tip number 2 is to leave campus after exams. Now this might seem like a strange one, but have you ever taken an exam and then you meet up with some of your classmates and you'll sit there and you're talking about the exam and you're just like counting up all the questions that you think you've missed based on what other people are saying that they answered, and you go home and you're just like, oh my god, I missed like 30 questions, but it's not actually validated. You don't know for sure that you've missed that many. You just think that you have because of your classmates. That's really stressful, and you can totally bypass all of that by just going home and not texting any classmates. Don't meet up with any classmates. Don't stay at the campus so that your classmates find you. Just go home or go to the gym or go spend time with some friends or family that aren't in nursing school, and just try to enjoy the rest of your day, because exams are really stressful, and if you let them, that stress can carry on throughout the day. So try to leave the campus if at all possible, unless you have something that you have to do for nursing school, right? Then obviously you have to go do that. But if you can leave, go do something else and rest and try to take your mind off of it. If you don't get your exam grade back right away, it can be difficult to not get your mind off of that. But do it if you can, because like I said, that stress will follow you for the rest of the day if you let it. Alright, tip number 3 is going to be to utilize a planner or an organizer. I use this one currently to keep track of dates and things like that. But when you're in nursing school, you have so much that you have to keep track of. You have clinical rotations, exams, lecture, quizzes, projects, papers, whatever it might be. And you want to make sure you're keeping track of it, staying organized, so that you don't accidentally miss showing up to a lecture or miss showing up to a clinical, or forget that you have a paper due on Friday and then you have to cram like Thursday night or something. Use something like this. Stay as organized as you possibly can so that you never miss a thing. Tip number 4, which is probably my favorite tip, is to rest or sleep whenever you feel like you need it. In nursing school, oftentimes we feel like we have to grind. Every day has to be productive. We can't take an hour off just to sleep or rest, but the truth is that you can and you should, because if you're thinking you're going to go tackle 2 chapters but you can barely hold your eyes open, Do you really think you're going to get through those 2 chapters and actually comprehend it? You may read it all, but you're probably not going to comprehend and retain any of it. So you might as well take an hour or 2 if you need it to rest, sleep, whatever it might be, and then get to the textbook material once you are rested. I did this all the time whenever I was in nursing school. I would take like 2-3 hour naps very regularly, multiple times a week, and I was still successful. Every day does not have to be grind. You can take time and rest when you need it. Your body will tell you when you need it, and you should listen to it. Speaking of your body, let's move on to tip number 5, which is to exercise and eat healthy. This is one that I really wish that I would have paid more attention to whenever I was in nursing school, because I gained like 10 or 15 pounds when I was in nursing school, and I'm quite short. I'm only 5'2", so that showed up pretty quickly. It really is easy to put on weight whenever you're in nursing school. You're so stressed out, you're eating all the time. Whenever you are studying, you don't really make much time to go to the gym because you're trying to focus on your schoolwork, and it just all adds up to weight gain basically. So if you can, try to schedule some exercise throughout the week. You don't have to spend an hour every day exercising, but you could take a 20 to 30 minute walk daily or every other day, whatever you can work into your schedule. You could go for a walk and pop in, your lecture and listen to your lecture while you're walking. You can multitask in that way to where you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Whatever works best for you, but try to make sure that you are eating healthy snacks whenever you're studying, and try to exercise daily or every other day if you can, because your scrubs, they'll just get tighter and tighter until one day you have to just go to the next size, and that's never a good feeling. So we can just bypass all that and focus on eating healthy and exercising while we're in nursing school. Tip number 6 is going to be to study smart. Now, studying in nursing school is very different than studying in other college classes. And I have a blog post that I'm going to link below if you want to check it out, where I go into more detail about this. But what you want to know is that in nursing school, there's good to know information and need to know information. So you may get a laundry list of chapters that you have to read or information that you have to read, but not all of that is need to know information. Some of that is good to know. You want to put it in the back of your noggin for one day when you might need it, but it doesn't have to be at the forefront of your mind, because it's not going to be tested on, it's not going to be on the NCLEX. It's not likely that you're going to see it very regularly in clinicals, and it's really important to be able to know the difference between the good to know and the need to know information. So like I said, I will link my blog post below, that's a tongue twister, so that you can check it out and get the deets on that. Alright, tip number 7 is going to be to make the most of your clinical rotations, because clinical rotations is where you get all your hands-on skills and learning and practice and all the good stuff that you're actually going to be doing when you're a nurse. Oftentimes, students start to kind of get bored of clinicals or annoyed with clinicals because your instructors are mainly focusing on things like medication administration and activities of daily living for your patients. And when you are thinking about being a nurse, there's way more that goes into that, but those are the things that they're focusing on when you're in clinicals, and that can become frustrating. But you can make more of clinical rotations if you have the perspective to do so. So you can ask your primary nurse that you're following, that has the patients that you're taking care of, you can ask them for tips and tricks and hacks, kind of pick their brain when the moment is right, and you will increase your learning, as opposed to students who just kind of have a really negative perspective. We're kind of like linking back to the first tip, kind of bringing it full circle. If you have a positive perspective, or if you're being open-minded, you can make more out of your clinical rotations than someone who's just being really a Debbie Downer and very negative. I also have a blog post on this that I will link down below, where I talk about a guide to success in your clinical rotations so that you can get the most out of your clinical rotations. So make sure you check that out. Alright, so that's going to be it. I hope that you enjoyed this. Before you click off the video, make sure you check those links down below. And also make sure you go kind of check out the nurseversity.com, which is the website that I've created for nursing students out there. I have the blog material, which I have already talked about, but I also have study material over there. So if you want cheat sheets, study guides, flashcards, I have a lot of that information over there. So go check it out and see if there's anything you want to grab. It's all free. You don't have to give me your email, no nothing. I won't even know you're over there. Just go grab it, print it, download it, whatever you want to do so that you can pass your nursing school exams. All right, until next time, happy nursing.